Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Nona Sports Cast. I am your host for today, once again, Edgar Rodriguez. Pleased to have your company as we are going to recap the incredible weekend we just had for the 2024 Nona Cup. It was the fifth edition, of course. And to talk about it with me, I have none other than the boss, Fabio Silva. Fabio, I dragged you into the studio today. How are you?
I was supposed to be off today. Everybody's
I
off, and
changed your plans.
and here we are working. It's all
Uh,
right. Let's do this. Thank you for this idea of talking about Nona Cup because up to up to last night, I was still my adrenaline is still high,
my
and
goodness.
we're still going. And I think this year's Nona Cup was unforgettable. So it'll
Unforgettable.
be fun to talk about and remember a couple of things. So
Unforgettable is the right word. And I can attest to that. We were there all 3 days covering the tournament. An utter success. I mean, that's the only way to describe it. Of course, for the fifth Nona Cup, we wanted to put on a big show, right? And I think we were able to achieve that. Just talk me through your emotions before the Nona Cup. Of course, we talked about on the last episode, we have to wait for November for it to come around. And once that week prior, you start getting those same sensations. It's the fifth time. You've already done it. But how were you feeling heading into it?
to be honest, Edgar, for me this year, I was able to push on the day-to-day operations to my team. I'm sure we're going to talk about them and see how well they have done
Oh,
it.
of course.
But I wasn't very involved with the operation, and I was just like the proud dad watching everybody do their thing and kind of put it together. But the week of, when I came back from Brazil and I
Right.
saw it, and it starts that countdown. It's like we're 72 hours before the first game, and then 48 hours before the first game, and then we kept going and going. Of course, I still have the butterflies. I think I told you one of you guys over
Yes.
the, but once the ball starts rolling, it makes things a lot easier. The thing with Nona Cup that my team understood, and it's that soccer is really a small part of it because anybody can throw a tournament that does that. I think we're putting the experience. It's the experience, is the event. That's what makes the difference with when it comes to Nona Cup. But of course, you have the butterflies.
Of course, and for me and for the Nona, for most of the media team, and a huge shout out to everyone I had from UCF. I mean, they did an unbelievable job. Those volunteers, Patrick, one of them behind the cameras today. Thank you guys. It was our first taste of Nona Cup, and you hear all the talk. It's like, oh, it's the biggest tournament, 25,000 people come in at least. But to really see it in action was unbelievable. So Friday, and I told the guys this. I was like, we started at 4:30. Tomorrow is going to be at least double of the craziness and the intensity and the work. But to pull it off that way was incredible. So moving into Saturday, of course, we had all the games. We had day two, all that good stuff. But then at the end of it, we had the Boxy Park event, which was an unbelievable, again, not just on the soccer field, but off it as well. I know we met there and we put something on the stories there, but talk to me about, like, we packed that place out. I mean, Boxing Park was alive.
I still haven't seen the numbers from Boxy Park, and it really doesn't matter to me. It's not my business. Of course, we have to look into. Part of this podcast is for us to talk about the business of soccer
Of
and
course.
everything that goes on with it, besides just playing and coaching. But the economic impact that we make when you put an event like this together, it's impressive. I have to tell you, when I walked in and I saw soccer people all over Boxy Park and the Lake Nona Town Center, my ego was boosted, right? So it was a nice thing that we put together, and it's also important that the community is it's understanding what Nona Cup is. I like to say that, and I tell that to my kids and to my family. It's like there's going to be one day, Edgar, that we're not going to be here. The Silva family is not going to be here. Fabio is not going to be here, and Lake Nona will still be doing the Nona Cup.
Right.
And what does that mean? That means the experience when everybody goes to hang out at Boxy Park, where everybody goes and fill out the restaurants, the hotels, and so on and so forth. And I think that's the biggest legacy that I can leave behind. The Yes, I envisioned it. Yes, I created a team that is the best in the business to do it. But one day I'm not gonna be here.
Right.
And then when that happens, I don't want Nona Cup to die out just because there's a crazy person one time that decided to do it. It is a community thing. It belongs to all of us. The excitement on kids' faces when they knew that they were playing their own tournament, or parents and even people that plays in other clubs that they don't even play for Nona anymore. They were watching the games, and you have no idea how many times I heard, you guys do things differently here, man. I don't know. And I told them maybe it's the orange water. It's I don't know what it is, but it's something special.
It was really special. You know, and I noticed that mostly on day three, when everyone was, highest pressure moments, playing those semifinals, playing those finals. All the attention was on the field, and all the attention was, okay, are these guys going to be able to like survive the Nona Cup? Because and Denny told me this before. It's like once you think you've solved all your problems, 10 more will appear at least. But yeah, I think we did a great job navigating through it. Talking about that, because I mean, I met people, I met so many incredible people from not just the Central Florida region, but like you said, people come from Miami, from Tampa, from all over Florida.
A couple of teams from Georgia.
From Georgia as well. I
Yeah,
heard that.
it
DC
was fun.
Sports, was it?
I don't remember
No,
now, but
okay.
there was I think a couple teams. There was a
Okay.
girls team from Georgia.
Right.
There's yeah.
So we're starting even to expand out of Florida. I know one of your goals is to bring a Brazilian team one day. I just want to ask you, how close was that to happening this year? And how do you see it moving into the sixth one next year?
I
Already looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, we live this conversation here, and I have a call with a sports agency in Brazil that wants to bring a team over, and it's the problem is that the school year in Brazil finishes in December, right? So
Right.
November during the Nona Cup, it's like finals and stuff. So I don't want to tell people that yes, we're gonna have Brazilian teams here or South American teams because they all go through the same thing. But I think if Nona Cup was in a different date, for sure they would be here already. But because of the whole evolvement of technology and stuff, with kids having online classes and stuff, we might be able to do in 2026 to have a team from Brazil or so to international to make Nona Cup international. So that then it's a whole different ball game.
Absolutely, and just going back to some of I was impressed honestly with the amount of teams there. We already knew. I know we posted all the badges of the teams, and we spoke about it on the show. I mean, we were talking high level elite clubs who have academies in Miami, for example, like Atletico Madrid, like FC Barcelona, like Juventus. Seeing those badges there competing in our tournament, in our local tournament, is incredible, isn't it? Because it exposes us to much more than just here locally.
I think the biggest feedback I've had over the weekend, and every time we do Nona Cup, we hear the same. Fabio, how can you host your rivals, right, or your competitors
Right.
in such a nice manner, right? With Orlando City, Florida Rush, FKK, I was messing around with them. I don't know if you got to see it. It's like, oh, you're not taking my trophy, and you come all the way because the kids they don't have. It's not their fault that there's rivalry or there's competition. Or the kids when they step on stage, when they come to Nona Cup, they have to feel they are part of something special.
That they're at home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like when you have a guest coming to your house, you're not gonna mistreat them.
Right.
You're gonna make sure that you lay the bed for them, that you do things special for them, and that's how I feel in Nona Cup. And it was so much fun to be on stage with messing around with the kids from Rush or the kids from FKK. I heard from some of the parents like, you guys interviewing Rush players or Orlando City players? Yes,
Of course.
we're this is all part of the tournament. It's a good way for us to go into an event towards the end of the year and say, welcome to our home. This is how we treat you, and regardless of what happens on the field, Nona Cup we are hosting, and I think our team understands that pretty well.
That was the first thing I spoke about with Sewell, of course, because we put together our team, we put together our strategy for the week, and how were we going to attack this. And one of the questions I had was, okay, how are we going to, how are we going to cover the other teams? Do we want to focus on Nona? Of course, we want to put that emphasis on there always. But interview everyone and anyone you see, interview them because, like I said, it exposes us to so many more people. Talking about that, I mean, the stories this weekend were unbelievable. The amount of views, we were just talking about the numbers. I mean, almost on every category, over 100% increase in views. I mean, I don't think Nona Cup had ever had that amount of attention on it. Do you agree with that? Like, was this the Nona Cup that you think had most eyeballs on it?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're 35% bigger than last year,
Wow.
just in numbers of teams, right? So when that happens, it goes up in number of fields, it goes up in professionals working, and I think the crazy idea that you and I had about this channel and the podcast and the things that we're doing, uh, I had no idea that you bring in 10 people from UCF here to cover the event as a media team. CEO is fantastic,
Oh,
and
unbelievable.
so we were able to get a lot of content out there, and kids felt special. I heard some parents say thank you so much they're sending us a message, they're sending us an email, thank you so much for interviewing my son. You know, it Edgar, I can't tell you, like, really, I'm still when we start talking about it and kind of recapping everything that happens, we're still in awe to to what happened. But this is how we do it, and I wanted to continue to grow. Maybe next year you're gonna bring the entire broadcasting team from UCF so we can cover this and continue to do it. But this is the emotional part of it, and the business part of it. Of course, we had a million. Over in the last 30 days, prepping to Nona Cup, plus
Hmm.
all of this content that we're doing, we had over a million views in 30 days in our Instagram account. If you look into the business of soccer, that type of exposure gives you
Oh yeah.
ability to sell more sponsorships, to bring more people to the next Nona Cup. People are going to be like, my God, I want to be part of that event. So again, I like to talk about soccer, but I need to understand because so many more people are going to be working soccer than playing soccer, understanding that there is a whole business behind it, and seeing how we can make it special.
Of course, and a lot of times, you see youth soccer tournaments, and it's it's kind of low key, right? It's low key. You go, you play your games, you leave and stuff. But with Nona Cup, I mean, we had all the sponsors there. For example, I mean, we did a lot of content with the likes of Migaloo, with the likes of Mikado's, which is one of our new sponsors. I mean, I think that as well helped hugely in terms of keeping people there and keeping people aware and alive during the tournament because it's ultimately it's the players and the parents who drive this thing. I mean, we're there to merely support and to cover and to work it. I mean, but they are the real life, and without them, there is no Nona Cup. There is no there is no end result that was this impressive. Speaking about the media team, of course, I wanted to put more attention on that because I think we killed it. We absolutely killed it. The numbers back that up. The reactions back that up. Um, I wanted to know what were your expectations heading into it, and how are you looking at it now after it happened?
When you look at media, right? That's a lack of focus for a lot of businesses out there, not just in the soccer world. And today, our kids are averaging, unfortunately or fortunately, 6 to 9 hours of screen time every day,
It's
right?
become their lives.
Yes. So I remember when I spoke to you and we wanted to do this, I said, there's no mistakes we can make. The worst case is like delete this. And in 10 seconds, we'll delete it, we'll learn, and we move on.
Right.
Uh, so my expectation is that just let's put content, period. And when you say that with content, anybody can do it really. If I distribute 20 20 cell phones or tell the kids like you guys will make $10 a day just to create content throughout Nona Cup, that will create more content, right? That will
Right.
create more views. The difference with you guys you guys were a bunch of pros doing it. You know, like you guys took the job seriously. You guys, and then it adds even more credibility to the event. You know, so looking back, I wasn't expecting, to be honest, when I went in. Well, I was expecting from some of you guys that we've been doing the sports show and the podcast, and I was expecting a level of professionalism, but I wasn't expecting the seriousness that you guys took upon it. And I saw you guys collect content, you go inside in the office and you create a beautiful production for it. And then you, again, and it was, some of them was natural content, some of them was production. I'm impressed. I heard from so many people in my family, and everybody's like, "What? Who are these people?" It's like, leave my boys alone. We're building something special here, and my boys and my girl, right? Delilah was also
Oh,
amazing.
amazing.
She's so nice to have her here.
Amazing.
So those are, I don't know if I'm answering your question, but first it was, let's try to get as much content as possible. Then I got a bunch of professionals to do it, and then the end result has been fantastic. So I think that was the three steps towards the media idea that we've had.
And I'm glad it was worth it. It paid off. I mean, like you said, the amount of parents who would by day three they already knew our names. they already knew because we had the badges, we had the phones in our hands at all times. They were like, "Oh, can you ask my kid a question? Can he get a picture with you?" I was like, "Oh my goodness!" Like, I'm only a mere staff member, helping to cover the team, but they also noticed. They really did take note of the work we did, and I'm pleased at that. I'm pleased at that because now I told Patrick we set the bar high. We set the bar high this year, and that's where it should be at least. That's where it should remain, and we should next year and for other tournaments we cover, and for whether it's USL2, UPSL, anything we cover, that's where the bar should be, and it shouldn't be lowered for anything. Matter of fact. Um, let's. I wanted to focus on day three because, like I said, I was impacted by it. The amount of times I heard coaches say, "This is the first time my team won a tournament. This is the first time I was at Nona Cup," and the level of they were just left impressed by the tournament. How does that make you feel? Because I know, like you said, we increased a significant amount in terms of the participation, in terms of the people there. I mean, that just left a smile on my face when I heard this is the first tournament. I know from Macau Soccer Academy, they were a Brazilian coach, and he was like, "This is the first time my team wins. This is the first time I'm here." From R9 Tampa Bay as well. Those are just some of the ones off the top of my head. I mean, it's incredible. It leaves you with goosebumps almost.
I was talking to Ed that we brought from Brazil to visit the tournament, and he comes from a big club down there. He does futsal there, and he's like, Fabio, whatever you do, uh, these kids need to have the stage experience, right? Whether they win or they lose, they have to have the stage experience.
Yeah.
Because I remember talking about Macau. I remember when I was a club with two or three teams, and the first time we won, how much it meant to Nona, right?
Yeah.
And then it was the first time we won. It meant a lot. Then it's the first time we won the big tournaments, like when you won Disney, for example,
Yeah.
back then. And I was lucky enough that when I won Disney, I won with both of my kids, right, playing. So then we started winning. Then winning had become part of our thing, and so is losing. It's normal.
Of course.
It's just one of those things that happens. So you have to make it special because you will you you will not remember what the person gives you or how much money they make you make, or you will remember how they make you feel, right? So whether you make it to the final or not, whether you go on stage or not, and if it's your first time, you will forever remember, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that it's experience. I'm a hospitality guy. I went to school for hospitality management. I worked in hotels here. I did the Disney University, and Disney is not about the castle. It's the special things that they make you from the time that you go through the gate all the way through Spain in the day. So
Yeah.
the experience is the most important, and that's how Nona Cup is. And winning the first time or not winning for the first time, because I had some players that they made it to the finals all 4 previous years, and this year they lost. It's like
Right.
it's getting harder, you know. So, but that was exciting for me to see, and I know that it made an impact. Um, when you start seeing the social media people that we don't even know with our big logo, with our big trophy, or tagging us, like I was like, whoa, like
Yeah.
we don't see how big it is on that experience for the kids until we live it.
It takes you back almost. It's surprising, really, when you do look back at it and look back at the true impact that the tournament and everyone involved had. You touched on the trophy. I know we spent some time with it on the stage promoting it. We were like, hey, first final, 11:45. We were there a couple hours earlier. We joked that we already had played our final. We had the trophy. We had the medal. I mean, they do a great job with it, right? The Nona Tower. I wasn't even aware that it's called the Nona Tower. Where did that idea come from?
That was Danny.
Was it?
Yeah. So this is what happened. We deal with multi forms awards from they're out of Miami, but they're a group of Argentinians that they do a fantastic job.
Unbelievable job. Yeah.
And the first time that we went to have the trophy, and I decided to use them. I think we're the first bigger tournament that kind of decided to go with them, and we designed a pretty cool trophy. It wasn't the old school can trophy
Right.
that everybody used it. So it was this acrylic thing that has a cool form. And then they did it, and we did for the first Nona Cup.
Okay.
And then every kid for the first Nona Cup got a replica of that. They didn't get medals at that time. They got a replica of that trophy. So
Okay.
it was such a big hit. The problem is, by the end of that year, every single tournament used the same kind of style of a trophy.
Right.
So, oh yes, it's the Nona Cup. It's one color. It's like this, and then you have Tournament B, another one, Tournament C, another one, but kind of they all look the same. So I walked into my office one day and I saw the trophy case that we have. And then besides Disney, that has this beautiful trophy
Yes.
with the ball and the Wild World of Sports ball, I said, every other tournament blends in. Everybody looks at it and says, this is all the same type of trophies,
Right.
just different dates, or some clubs they even they just change the tag on it and it says the same trophy 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. And then I told Danny, I said, Danny, we need to come up with something that speaks Lake Nona.
Something distinctive.
What are you thinking, Fabio? I don't know. I have no idea what I'm thinking. We need to have a trophy just like Disney. Disney has the white water sports ball with a stick. It's to me, it was probably the hardest tournament. I don't know if it's the symbolism of it, but to me, winning Disney was a big deal.
Of course.
So we need to come up with a trophy like that. And with that said, Danny one day, I guess, driving into the office, he saw these towers that we have in the entrance of Lake Nona, the Tavistock here.
That's right.
Behind it. So you see those towers.
Okay.
And Danny said, can we make a trophy out of this? And I said, Danny, if you can, it's going to be the greatest idea ever.
That's incredible.
And then there's the whole symbolism, all right? Of the chess game, if you take the tower, you're getting closer to take the queen, right? So I don't know. It was.
Wow.
I don't think Danny thought of the whole symbolism behind it. It was more like the actual object.
Right.
But then we created a story behind it, and it's awesome, especially when you have a team from Windermere. I was messing around with GGS, and I said, nope, you're not taking my tower over to Ocoee. And yes, we've earned it. It's like, all right, give me a chance to take it back next year.
Right.
And those things, I think, creates the whole symbolism of what it is to take the Nona Tower now. And it's last year was the first year. This year, next year, we're going to try to do something different. It's still the tower. It'll never go away, but the tower is going to look a little bit different. So
That's incredible because it makes complete sense.
Yes.
Because when you're driving on Narcoossee, for example, once you see those towers, you know you're in Lake Nona.
Lake Nona.
You know you're in Lake Nona, and then to have that, that monument, I'll call it a monument,
Yeah.
to take back home. I even used it for like the captions on the stories, like they're taking a tower back to the bay, right, or something like that. it just makes the whole thing more memorable for
And it
everyone.
had to be imponent too. It has to be big. It had
Of
to be.
course.
It's expensive. When you're running a tournament, awards, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Uh, and but I say we're not gonna save money on that because that is the signature. When you go home and you won on a cup, it's like a stamp, and you say, "All right, it was worth it because look at this trophy." Like the 8-year-olds when I gave them the
It's
trophy,
almost the size of them.
it's just almost the size of them. It's like the Champions League, right? The big
Right.
ears, right?
Right.
It's a simple trophy if you think about it.
Very.
But the symbolism behind it, it's huge. And I think Nona Cup, like everybody that comes in here is going to say, hey, Fabio, I'm coming to take your tower. And the challenge is up
Yeah.
forever now.
And you have to work so hard for it because you have these group stages and then you have the knockout games and then you have the Jeopardy. I mean, on day 3 when we were walking back to the stadium to collect all of our stuff, we had on the 9v9 fields, we had 2 penalty kick shootouts at the same time, and they know because they'd seen it the whole day already. If you win, you get up on that stage and you'll be able to hoist the trophy in the air.
The cool
It's
thing
so
about
meaningful.
penalty kicks, man, I don't know what it is about this. Like in Brazil, we had a joke that says, "Oh, do you really think men likes women? Men don't like women. Men like penalty shootouts, right?" And that's a huge joke that we have, especially if it's not your team. So
Right.
if you have a penalty shootout and you're working, you stop to watch it,
Oh,
right?
of course.
So so in Nona Cup, like every tournament, but this Sunday morning in Nona
Yeah.
Cup, there was like 5 penalty shootouts
Yes.
going in at the same time, and uh, it's just something about the
incredible, isn't
shootouts. We love it.
Because it grabs your attention, and you know, like, oh my goodness, it's all up to whoever's stepping up to take it. You got 5. I mean, there's no room for error. And so it's just so special. I mean, I was able to interview Juancho, he took his team to a penalty kick shootout, and afterwards, just the emotion, the uproar. I mean, yes, all different sports bring you emotion, but I mean, football, the way that brings it to you, I think it's unmatched.
Now,
Honestly.
stop to think about it. Going back to talk about soccer a little bit.
Uh-huh.
The amount of pressure that we put on the kids and on the coaches, right? But let's talk about defending my coaches a little bit.
Of course.
And any coach in the world, I think they're going to be able to relate to this. But think about it. In any job, like forget soccer for a minute, but in any job, can you imagine you working the whole week, and then on Sunday afternoon, the result of that whole week, it's put on to a 9-year-old kid? In any job, a doctor, an attorney, would you trust them, right?
Probably
So
not.
is it fair, right? Is it fair for us to go back and look at to the in the event of any other job, even to counting change? If you work in an ice cream shop, would you give it to a 9-year-old? And then you put out on a penalty spots and you give that responsibility to
Wow.
5 shooters and 1 goalkeeper. So that's 6 9-year-olds. And then you lose a penalty shootout, and then the parents come on Monday and they complain about the coach. I'm like,
no, come on.
right. So that's going back to soccer. Is stress that we bring into that
Wow, yeah.
that it shouldn't be there, but unfortunately it is.
It's part of
how,
it. It's part of it. It's part of any sport, but soccer primarily, like we were talking about. That's unbelievable. And just like looking back on those 3 days, I mean, we were exhausted by the end of it. I know you guys had the idea of going out to eat afterwards because I think we earned that. That was such, so much work, effort, and sacrifice as well because this is the whole day there. I mean, just looking back on the 3 days, if there's something you can pinpoint, that was like, okay, I'm gonna remember the 2024 Nona Cup because of this. Does anything spring to mind?
I'm going to be selfish.
Go ahead.
My time on stage, and it's not because it's me on stage.
Right.
It's because there I am relating to kids and parents and people to see the real me, right? You'll be surprised on how many people came to me. It's like, you're the owner of this club and you're dancing from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. nonstop with the same energy with every single kid. That's who I am. It's like sometimes you look at titles and you look at positions and you and you put yourself like already a wall behind it. Uh, and that's why I'm so being selfish. To me, Fabio,
Yes.
spending that time on stage with the kids, with the coaches, with the party, and we brought the ADN party, one of our sponsors, that
They're
the DJ,
incredible,
they
aren't
were
they?
amazing, like the music.
Incredible.
So being selfish, it's my me time. It seems like the whole work, like I told you, right? If you work the whole week and you put all your pressure into 9 year olds, to me it was like we worked the whole year, and now is the icing on the cake, right? So that's
Right.
me being selfish. But pinpointing is that I guess you can call it selfish too, but I didn't do nothing on Nona Cup. All I did is kind of prepping for some politics, like, oh, there's we need some expedition on issues like fields, lights, cutting the
Hmm.
grass, and this financial decisions. Do you want to bring another light tower? That's
Right.
all I've done. But this year, Edgar, you guys were unbelievable. From media to Danny to Frodo to Alejandro to the staff to Bernard to Igor that we brought from Brazil. Uh, I was impressed with the level of commitment and the level of professionalism that my team had. So again, me on stage, being able to dance and hang out with the kids, and not have to worry about it. It seems like I was in a different
Yeah.
atmosphere because
Right.
I knew that you guys were holding down the fort, and then everywhere I looked, we had somebody doing what they're supposed to do. So it is fun to be the visionary of something. It's more fun when you are able to get people to do exactly how you visioned, right? So uh, that's the true legacy. That's the true leadership, I think. And then being selfish, I am very proud of what you guys can do without me, right? And I am just the face on stage. That was, to me, was the best thing over the weekend.
That's very. I noticed that you were very calm. You were at least you didn't show any stress throughout the whole weekend, and I was almost surprised me as well. It was like, well, okay, he's trusting us. He's putting this trust on us. And my thing is, okay, let's give it not 100%, not 200, but literally everything you got. Let's make this as top notch as we can. And I noticed that you also brought out a party tray. I hadn't seen that varsity jacket, that Nona varsity jacket. I loved it, by the way. But the kids loved it, right? Because yeah, Fabio, okay, the owner of the club, but you brought yourself to the level of the players, to the level of the coaches as well, and I think they also noticed that as well because at other tournaments, I mean, it's very rare that you see an owner or an executive like that, um, you know, putting yourself in that position. You don't have to do that. That is your personal
I
decision.
do have to do it. Don't take me out of that too. That's the
We
best
gotta
part
leave
of
them
my
with
job.
something. But if you wanted to, you could have just sat back, relaxed, let them be on stage. But that added a different element to the whole experience because at the end of the day, that's what you work for. You work to be on that stage at the end of the day. And I think if they see you there, that just adds another element to it, and it makes them even more excited when you present them with the trophy and they know it's time to celebrate. I think that added a different dimension to the whole experience. Um, let's talk about the locations, of course, because we focus mainly on Austin Tyndall. Of course, that's the home of Nona soccer, right? And of course, here was Community Park. We had Young Pine as well, Luminary Middle School. I'm probably missing one, but five locations total. How does Faith Academy as well? Thank you. How does that make you feel as well? Because it's easy to lose yourself in Austin Tyndall. 12 fields or whatever the incredible number it is. But I mean, five locations. We had Nona Cup happening all over Central Florida.
It's cool, but it's a problem
Right.
because how much can we grow, right?
Right.
So now talking the business part of a tournament is strategically how can we grow Nona Cup? Realistically, there's two ways. You either build a facility with 30 fields, which is realistically it's not going to happen, but or you continue to take on fields, and then I'm gonna need 200 people working because I'm gonna have to have the same standards in all locations,
Right.
right? So that is something that I think now talking to experienced Kissimmee, Osceola County, City of Orlando, Faith Academy, how we can make it bigger. And also, I think one way to grow is to increase to into Monday because it's a holiday week technically, right? It's with Thanksgiving.
Right.
The vision was putting Nona Cup before in the first right before Thanksgiving is because we could extend it into Wednesday, and then people would stay here for the holidays. We've been to tournaments that was a 5-day tournament, 6-day tournament. I think we're gonna have maybe 1 or 2 more years the same way that we just did it this year, with probably 1 or 2 more locations.
Okay.
But I think eventually, if this continues to grow, it will be a 4 or 5-day tournament. So
Wow.
it's exciting. It's hard to keep everything at
Of
the same
course.
standards.
Right.
We have no complaints this year from other locations because they were kind of pretty tight and the fields were in good conditions.
Yes.
But it is a concern going strategically. We're going to have to talk about it for next year to see how we grow.
Of course, and that's just part of the process, right? I
Yes.
mean, I saw something the other day. It was like a saying, because recently I've become obsessed with motivational quotes and stuff. It keeps me going, right? I'm sure it's the same with you. It was like, you asked to have a lot on your plate to eat, so go ahead and eat it now. Don't leave anything on your plate, because honestly, it's what you asked for. It's what we want, right? We don't want to stay stagnant in our growth. So I mean, that's going to be very exciting to see where we take it now, because many people can look at Nona Cup this year and be like, okay, that's the ceiling, that's it. But I'm
Oh,
sure
they
we'll
have no idea.
exactly. That's my point. It's like, this is only the start. This is only the beginning of what is an incredible tournament, and it fills me with excitement already. We're only 2 or 3 days removed from the Nona Cup, and I'm already okay. When's the next one? Can we do it again this weekend? Because it leaves a profound impact on everyone involved, So um, let's continue looking back at the weekend. So much happened. Um, you, of course, spent most of your time speaking with parents, speaking with coaches from different clubs. Um, and of course, I would say a great majority of them were left with like the desire to come back. I was asking that question as well on day three. It's like, will you be back? To the ones who said it was their first time here, and every response was, of course, we want to come back, and that's the main thing, right? We want to keep growing. Part of that is keeping the ones who were here this year, the year prior, because just like there were new people, I met coaches who have been here 3 years coming to Nona Cup as well. So how does that make you feel when coaches are like, yes, I want to come back?
With bigger power comes more
Of
responsibility,
course.
right? So, and my team and you that started with us here only a couple months back, uh, we need to understand that we can't get too down with the criticism, and you can't get too excited with praise
Absolutely.
because that's we need to live in a down to earth mentality
Right.
where not because we have criticism here that everything is bad, and not because we have praise here that everything is perfect.
Right.
Right? We have a responsibility to the community, to our sponsors, to my staff, to other coaches, to the teams, to the referees, and we have all of that responsibility. So yes, cool, you have to come back, but the minute is that we drop the ball somewhere next year, we lose them,
Hmm.
and then people in general, they won't remember
Right.
all the good stuff that you've made, and that's why when you ask me about the butterflies and stuff, I'm working on a cup and everything is perfect, but it only takes one mistake of the referees for everything to go down and a
Hmm.
fight go viral on Instagram, right, or whatever.
Right.
Like it's one mistake. So as much as I was calm and I was enjoying my time in there, I was tense until the last team when I heard I'm on stage and I heard the last game they blew the whistle and I'm like, Nona
A
Cup is
relief.
officially
A
over. So
relief, right.
so yeah, it's more responsibility, and I I hate to do that to you guys, but on Monday what was wrong, what was right,
Of
let's
course.
make it better and let's fix it.
Of course.
It's the way it is, I remember when I was watching the Last Dance with Michael Jordan, and he won the I think the fourth or the fifth championship, and he's talking about going to practice, getting better because he doesn't miss some of those shots that he missed in that final,
Right.
while everybody else is trying to to celebrate, and that's kind of I believe that. I don't know. Maybe I'm not comparing myself to Michael Jordan, but I feel the same
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
We have a lot of responsibility now. Every Nona Cup, because of the last one, it will continue to have expectations here, and we have to come here.
Yep.
So expectations, Nona, and that's how we have to continue to go.
Of course. Of course. And I think all elite professionals and athletes especially think that way. I know I remember Erling Haaland, for example, he scored like 4 or 5 goals in a game. It was like, I could have scored six. I could have scored more, right? And that's just the mentality that keeps driving you to
It's weird.
continue. It is.
It's weird, and it sucks sometimes, to be honest.
Because it's like we don't allow ourselves to, like, in the moment, all you're thinking of is work. Okay, like you said, don't make a mistake because you're walking a very fine line in terms of how people perceive you and how people perceive the whole event. But I think that's just like we were talking about, part of being in the sports industry, which is a crazy world, which is a non-stop world where you're always under the microscope, you're always under scrutiny. But I think we're safe to say that we pass most of our tests anyway. So now looking
Yeah,
forward.
there's more tests
Of
tomorrow.
course, of course. And every day it's new stuff we have to we put ourselves against, right? So moving forward now, of course, we have this week is a little more chill. It's a little more relaxed. The calm after the storm. Um, how do you see the rest of the year going for Nona? You know, heading out of the Nona Cup, which is the main highlight, right? The main stamp on our year. How do you see the rest of the year going for the club, on and off the field?
This year we have slower end of the year. We're gonna be making up some league games because of the hurricanes. We're gonna
Of
be
course, yeah.
making up some practices, and we have the first Nona Recreational Classic,
There you go.
which is Nona Cup for the recreational teams. We've never done it before. This will be the first one. That's how we kind of close the year on. It's going to be on the weekend of the December 15th.
Okay.
So get ready. We'll have the same fun. The difference with the rec is there's no winners and losers. Everybody's going to be playing. Of course, parents will be doing their math and stuff, but it'll be fun to get the Nemours Recreational Champions League to play there. So
Wow.
that's how we close the year on the 15th, and then there's a lot of people asking how they can join Nona. Because they know how in December we add a lot of the recreational people. I cannot take any competitive kids unless they are not playing somewhere else. But that's how we finish the year, and then we start back-to-back tournaments start in January. So it's a chill end of the year, but we have to do the same special event that we did Nona Cup for our recreational, because they have to work their way up to Nona Cup in the future,
Yeah, of
so
course.
it'll be a good experience for them.
And I think that's a great idea because ultimately, for the rec teams, I mean that's their goal. That's their goal. It's to reach Nona Cup. It's to reach the heights of what we can offer. I think it's the same with like UPSL, for example, or USLA. You know, the goal. What is it? USL two, right? You want to create that pathway for them, and you want to make it a realistic objective, right? So for that, I'm very excited because even more interviews, even more exciting content, even more coverage. That's what we want. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, after the tournament, it's like you're left with a hunger to continue going. So I'm very pleased to hear that. I know I mentioned USL two, and I know that's still a long way. Because that's next summer. I don't want to get too ahead of
Oh, it's
myself.
right around the corner.
It's gonna come in a blink of an eye, right? Um, Let's touch on that a little bit because it was an incredible experience, USL 2 last summer. It's a sprint. I always describe it like that because it's 12 games. It's short. Again, no room for error. How are you looking forward to USL 2? Because of course, Nona FC has become a big part of the club.
Exactly what I just told you,
Right.
right? Expectations,
Yep.
Nona, right? So
Of
every
course.
year we increase a little bit. Um, I love the changes that we've made this year with the players that we brought in, the top college athletes
Oh
and
yeah.
stuff. It was a little different. I love my guys from the previous years as well. It's just a different pathway, and I think it'll be closer to what we have here in the club. So I'm excited to see now that they have come. Right, we brought those top-notch players for the high-level colleges,
Right.
and they went back home with the Nona seed in their hearts. Right, so with the Lake Nona Performance Club, with the training facility, with the housing,
Hmm.
with you guys, with everything that we offer them.
Right.
So I'm excited to talk to Coach Dave and who are we bringing back, right? Because now we open the floodgates to top college athletes in top schools.
Hmm.
We're getting Notre Dame, UCF, um, Stanford. So there's some
Furman.
Furman. There's
Yeah.
some big schools coming in relationship with that. And I know my wife met Dave the other day, and he's like, man, I need to get with Fabio. I was like, past Nona Cup, but I joke around. It's like it's right around the corner because it is, and
Yeah.
I think in the next couple of weeks, I'll give Dave this time off the next couple of days, and then on Monday we'll start catching up to see what are the plans for next summer. So
Yeah.
it's exciting.
You always have to stay ahead of the ball, right? You don't want because it creeps up on you, like just like Nona Cup does. And if you're not ready, if you're not on your toes, it'll catch you off guard. So I'm very
Yeah, we
excited.
work 6 months in advance, Edgar, and I
Yeah.
think on the strategic part of the business, it's very important for us to work 6 months in advance.
Hmm.
So we're talking now. Um, the recreational program, everything is almost done with the recreational tournament. Then this week, my focus is going to be Nona FC when we come back. Then we have, and then January, February, we're talking tryouts in May.
Exactly.
So it's nonstop.
It's
So
yeah, it's a.
May is tough for us because we're going Nona FC tryouts end of the year
Hmm.
tournaments. It's we used to have the Memorial Day tournament last year.
Right.
So right in like the day of tryout is crazy.
Wow. Wow. It's never a dull moment,
It's
right?
never, and that's I think that's the exciting part because we are all all learning as we go and it's developing. We're all developing as leaders, as staff, as proactive uh, um, helpers, and it's different here. I don't know. I can't
Yeah.
tell you.
I can, like I said, I can vouch for that because man, it is nonstop. It is nonstop. And once we started this project, and you told me, okay, show on Tuesday, podcast on Thursday, I was like, okay. But then, man, I mean, editing, making graphics, making all this stuff, it's tough. It's tough, and you have to stay on your A game at all times. But going back to recapping Nona Cup, we've talked about all the all the highs and lows that we had because it's never like a level line, right? You always have the roller coaster of the weekend, everything that happens unexpectedly or expectedly, right? Um, but leaving from the fifth Nona Cup, which was a big one, right? Because it's a landmark. It's a you know it's survived the test of time. I think you can say, right? Because yeah, it's easy, one or two or three, but to reach the five, right? So going into the sixth, we've already talked. Okay, increasing the amount of days maybe over the next year, or increasing the level of the teams that come. Is there something you have like personally that you want to improve or increase, like the top of the priorities for you for the next Nona Cup?
For the next one, we I want to bring some international teams.
Right.
Like we talked about, I think
Yes.
that's gonna give a whole different mentality of how Nona Cup is seen from across the state or even across Florida. Um, so I think bringing international teams is the focus for next year. And then people say that that any business, any idea have to last at least 7 years. It's I think there's a average that says there's a math that
Yeah.
says 70% of the business break within the first 5 years. So Nona Cup didn't break. We made 5 years, and then if we continue to grow by 7 years, we'll hopefully have a surprise there coming. We can't share much about it, but I wanna on the 6th year I wanna make Nona Cup international. On the 7th year, we'll have a surprise coming if
Wow.
everything goes well.
So stay tuned for that. You're already, like I said, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but hey, 2 years, that'll also be right around the corner because, like we said, we move. It feels like we move at 1,000 miles per hour at all
Yeah.
times. But we're coming to the end of this episode. I want to thank you. I dragged you into the studio on our Thanksgiving break. At least you agreed to it, so
No, it's been fun.
it has. What message do you want to leave to the players, to the parents, to the staff, to everyone involved with Nona Cup after this one? And yeah, just what do you want to say to all of them?
This is your tournament. It's not it's not mine. It's not Nona Soccer Academies anymore. It's your tournament, and I think the biggest message is uh, how much of an ownership the community took out of this event. And when I say community, I say my community, right? My family starts there,
Right.
then my team, then all the coaches, then how we host it, how we the referees, because they take so much heat
Yes.
throughout the good or bad. They take too much heat. So
Hmm.
um, if I start mentioning names here, I'm gonna miss somebody. So I'm just gonna be as my team but the team parents. I met with them at the town center on Saturday, and they were so proud of us doing something like this. The kids, and so what I have to say is like this doesn't belong to us anymore. It's to us, Nona or my family. This is a community event, and I want to thank everyone for your support and for your ownership and for your hospitality over the weekend because this is going to continue to grow. Um, in Nona Cup, it's a Lake Nona thing now. It's not. It's no longer Nona Soccer Academy.
Right, and I love that you touched on the parents, because we also notice that. I mean, they whether it's on field, whatever it is, if it's off to the side or if it's one of the main fields, they are there supporting their kids, supporting the game. We made a post for them on Instagram. I'm sure you saw it, because they deserve it. They deserve it. They're
Yeah,
the
we
reason why.
we we take it for granted everything that goes behind the scene, right?
Yes.
So we have a group of parents that came to Heroes Park on Thursday to pick up trash before the event.
Wow.
We had a group of parents that were getting together to help players that couldn't afford to to come here or
Yeah.
to bring a team from down to Miami, and some Nona parents helped them to bring them. We have the food and everything that our relationship with Publix that we're able to get. We need to feed 50 people on the staff plus 150 referees, and Publix was on fire delivering
Oh
on
yeah.
time, and Alejandro making all of those runs. There is the parking, the Austin Tinder staff.
My
Oh my
goodness.
God, there was not once that I have to say Jeff and his team were just amazing. Not, I asked Jeff, "Is like, can I have a trash can here?" In 2 seconds, I turn around, his team is dropping a trash can or cleaning the bathrooms, and those are the things that we don't
Yes.
we take for granted, and
Hmm.
and it takes a village. It takes a village, and once anybody in leadership understands that and truly lives it, uh, the difference between the the crazy and the successful is just the results, right? It's it's what we have to live by. But I understand now. It takes a village, and I'm just a mere spectator of the vision that I've created, and I'm comfortable with this. So when you say that I'm calm during Nona Cup, it's because of that. Trust you guys, I have the best team in the world. When we got up on stage, that we started dancing, it was nobody to watch us dance. Right at that time, all the teams had already gone,
Right.
and we were dancing as a team, and everybody's excited. Then we went to eat, and it was probably the best meal I've had that I'm seeing my kids eat and feel good about themselves though because we put a good tournament together. So thank you. That's all I have to say for the community and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to kids on the microphone for 9 hours and that was really my job.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I want to thank you as well for giving us the platform, for giving us the opportunity to show what we can do, and I hope that it lived up to your expectations and that we exceeded them as well. Because I can tell you, from everyone involved, I mean, I just get like thank you messages afterwards because it's an opportunity that's rare. This is hard to come by, especially when we have so much going on. But for you to open the doors for us, it's very special. So thank you for giving us that opportunity, for giving us the platform, like I said, and for joining me on what was the sixth episode of the Nona Sports Cast. It's the second in a row that it's you and I. So again, just thank you for everything. We will be back hopefully next week, where we will be back to normal at the club. But I want to thank Reese here at Nona Studio, all of our wonderful sponsors. I know we've mentioned a couple, but there is so many part of this incredible team. And yeah, that is it for this episode. Fabio, thank you once again
Thank you
for
very
spending
much.
some quality time here. Thank you, Patrick, for making sure everything is running smoothly. We will be back next week. Like I said, we're going to be back to normal programming. It's the show on Tuesday, hopefully, and then the podcast on Thursday. But from us, from Nona Studio, it's see you on the next one.